Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm gonna be giving you part 11 of What If Naruto Was an Elite Blue Uchiha. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also stay in tune for the new episode coming over on Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. If you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I have 3 channels, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3. I post what if on them every single day for you guys to enjoy. So just click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. And yeah, without further ado, what is we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, Jiraiya just had to stop. As Naruto grabbed him by the face and threw him, Jiraiya came to a crash landing. As both him and Naruto now stood opposite from each other, as Naruto stood over the water, Jiraiya felt the ear in the back of his neck stand up, as a feeling of dread set over him. As Naruto told him that he wouldn't be leaving here today. Meanwhile, Yujito was waiting as Naruto just headed off. He said that he would be right back. When Orochimaru approached her, Orochimaru told her to leave her son alone, as she's not meant for him. Yujito started to get angry as Orochimaru kept on insulting her. But Yujito wouldn't back down. She couldn't tell her what she can do. Orochimaru simply chuckled, as she told her that she warned her. It's up to her whether she wants to listen or not, and if she doesn't, she walked away, not saying anything else on the subject. Meanwhile, Jiraiya realized that in this state, he couldn't do anything to Naruto as he quickly summoned the toads to Mount Miyaboku. As they gathered a natural energy, a battle then ensued between them, as it was furious chaos as they destroyed the glacier, the both of them clashing like two powerful titans, destroying the place with nothing but pure, unbridled chaos. As Jiraiya tried his best, but every time he had the upper hand, Naruto kept on knocking him down. As Naruto hit him so much, his vision started to blur. The toads pumping nature into him tried to heal his wounds, as Naruto delivered a shattering head wound that brought the man down to his knees, before striking him in his chest. His body was launched away as the toads were blown off his shoulder by the force. Making his way over, as Naruto looked towards the toads, Jiraiya told them to run. As Naruto told them to inform the Hokage about what is going on here. Make sure to tell Minato before he incinerated Jiraiya's head with hellfire. It burned down his throat, burned out his eyeballs, and incinerate the man. His cries of pain could be heard as Paul grabbed onto Ma and teleport them back to Mount Miyaboku. We then had a time skip. At Konoha, Yujiro was summoned by Minato at the ramen stand, as he told her that Naruto was alive. This would be a big fault on his part. After all, he was the one that said that he killed Naruto, but now he was alive. People would lose credibility in him, as he was gonna send her and Kakashi and Yamato for Jiraiya. As Naruto had killed him, he asked her if he could count on her support to use lethal force if she find Naruto. She told him that she would obey his order. As a man, send him off. As he started to see visions that were not Konoha, homes, all of his real statement deals burning. He heard laughter in his head. The voice of Naruto told him that he's coming for him. Minato started to sweat and hyperventilate. When he finally came to, he was surrounded by all the people that were there worked for the Hokage. The drifter of laughter still echoing in his head, as Naruto was coming for him. Meanwhile, Naruto and Yujito found themselves at the land of sea. Something else they would be taken from Minato. So yeah guys, was basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the playlist and check it out for yourself. So this is the beginning of this new episode. It was currently 6:10 a.m. Southeastern border of the land of sleep. Blue checked his pockets as he hummed, as he brought out a roll of Ryu note, as he handed them to a little girl. The girl was wrapped in bandages, as she dropped 2 fresh caught catfish, as she stored away the money that he gave her. As Naruto went down and poked the fish with his middle finger, as he nodded his head. "Looks good, kid," he said with a smile. "I knew I could count on you." Aisarabe frowned, wondering how the man could tell with those bandages covering his eyes. Orochimaru was on a nearby rock. She turned her head towards the sea as the water came in, before it flew back out. She was wearing the same skin as when she was in hidden salt water. The mother and son duo were a few yards away from the encroaching water. The underworld didn't have his cloak on. He was just dressed in his black clothing and his red gloves. Orochimaru was dressed in the usual clothes, only tying her long locks into a ponytail. Aisarabe was a hybrid between a girl and a fish, as she looked up towards Orochimaru before turning back to Naruto. Aisarabe said, "Naruto, we'll need some more." "How much more?" she asked. 2 fish for 2 people seemed plenty. Well, she wasn't aware of the combined 3 appetites that were gonna, take apart the fishes. He held up his right hand. 5 more, he said. She was surprised by that. "I'll still be paying 500 Ryu per catfish." Her young mind couldn't fathom how much money she was gonna make today, as she raised her fingers and started to count. As Naruto smiled, "I hope that's not too much to ask." "I know, I'll do it," she said. She withdrew a bit, realizing she was being too brash. "I'll be right back, just you watch," she said, as she made her way towards the sea. As she dived into the water and boom off. As Naruto chuckled as he faced his mother. Nice kid, a bit guarded, but I don't blame her. The people of the land of sea detested her. They saw her existence as bad luck. Aisarabe was a very clever girl though. So clever she spotted when Blue and Orochimaru wandered onto the beach and came over to them, knowing full well that they weren't from the town and they wouldn't be disgusted at seeing her. Her bandages hid most of her scales and gills. She had purposely not looked at the snake sage, as she turned towards Blue and asked him if he would like if she get him some fish. He agreed, as he was going to grill them on the beach. Orochimaru crossed her legs as she sat back, as her son sit beside her, as he faced the water like he was watching the ocean as well. Blue was used to his mother changing faces, as strange as that sound, ever since she left Konoha. It was to hide her identity and extend her life force by taking the life force of those that remained in the host. She wasn't so keen on taking the body of a child, because she would gain that appearance for how long ever it lasted. Not to mention they had a unique bloodline she absorbed it into her own. Like now, the body that she was in was a kunoichi from the Hidden Stone, from the Explosion Core, who always had clay on her person. As Naruto was comfortable, knowing that the face that Orochimaru first showed him was her own when she first approached him. As Orochimaru glanced towards him, this was weird. They never faltered when starting a conversation, as Naruto decided to just go for it. "Yujito told me that you threatened her," said Naruto as he unlaced his fingers. "I did," Orochimaru said. "Why?" said Naruto. "She's not good for you, Naruto," Orochimaru said, as the man laughed without any humor as he turned his face down. She looked towards him fully. "She's poison, Naruto. That genjutsu girl, Tsunade the apprentice, the lava-using girl from Kiri, the girl from the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. And let's not forget that Uzumaki princess," she said. "They are all poison, every single one of them. Your precious Yujito is not different." Blue asks, "How are they poison?" "They don't value you, Naruto." Said Naruto. "Yes," Orochimaru said. "You're a means to an end for some, or a trophy for others. Some of them to make themselves look better, and also make everyone around them jealous." She grabbed his shoulder, but he still did not lift up his face to her. "Have you forgotten that you're the only person on this planet that can snipe down a target from 800 kilometers away? Have you forgotten the amazing, revolutionary inventions you made? Not just weapons, tractors, crop harvesting tools, energy-saving light bulbs, elevators, solar-powered security cameras, and I can go on. Don't you know your own value as a shinobi? You're a Uchiha of the highest caliber, and a person of refined specializations. Look at me," she said. She forced him to turn and face her, as she poked him in the chest. "You are my son. My blood, she said. I was fine, allowing you to have your fun, travel, mixing, and make a name for yourself. But it was that fame, that contributed to your death, Naruto. It was Minato's envy, Danzo vying for Blue's bloodline, and Blue's so-called friends. I am happy that you're more famous than me, Orochimaru said. I am. Fame comes at a price though. You need to be aware of the people that surround you, and the woman that you hang out with. Is that why you never settle down, said Naruto. You're paranoid. That is why I'm still alive, she said. Do I look dead to you, he asked. Because of who, she fired back. I didn't don't give me that, she said, cutting him off. Back then, I didn't want the one thing I hold dear in this world to leave me. And I still don't. She shook her head. I know that I was selfish. With merging with a crow contract. I didn't learn my lesson and let the world witness how special you are. And the one person I ever loved died twice because of my mistake. Lesson learned. Blue were beside his temple. Don't try this pity move on me, Orkai, he said. She crossed her arms. She looked towards the sea. He brought his finger in front of her face and snapped it. She nearly bit them off as he moved his hand. And don't ruin the dynamic that we have, said Naruto. She didn't say anything, so he went on. Yes, you're my mother, and you want to think you know what is best for me. But I'm not a kid. I'm my own person. And from the life that you gave me twice, I don't regret anything. I regret nothing, he said. As he got up, his eyes already came out of the sea, dragging a net with 8 catfish inside. He glanced over his shoulder. Whoever decided to hate me, it's on them. Finally, since the first time that he reconnected with her, he warned her. Never again get involved with my relationship, he said. Orochimaru stood up as she glared back at him. Never, he said. He held up a finger when she made to interject. After all, it's not like you would ever hurt her. So she asked the question, so what of Yujito? We'll see, said Naruto. Yujiro, she asked. Not interested, she's too close. And the Terumi? I haven't seen her in years. That Kiri swordswoman, what's her name? Yumi Naka, same as me. Haven't seen her in years. Snavia apprentice, she asked. He didn't answer, he just gave off a small smirk. Kushina, she asked. Let's talk about something else, Orkai. My apprentice, Kabuto. She would make a perfect life partner for you, Naruto. She's perfectly docile, and she's madly in love with you. I know. As Naruto grown uncomfortable, at one of the hidden stone orphans that he rescued, in Daylight Sagittarius mission, the silver hero scientist, she was, well, overbearing and protective. That's an entirely different kind of worm, said Naruto. This isn't over, Naruto, she said. Blue wondered about that. He couldn't die. Yes, he could no longer die by any human means, anyway. As far as he knew, only someone like him could seal him away, or whittle his existence down to a little wimp. And there weren't any. Well, there was someone. The Otsutsuki. They were close, power-wise, dangerously so. But they were locked away in different dimension. The Lady in the Moon as well, sealed into the celestial body of the night. Why was she so worried? He wasn't unaware of anything. And he wasn't underestimating anyone. He was prepared. The catalyst that locked the Otsutsuki away in the adjacent dimension, as well as the error that sealed away Kaguya Otsutsuki in the moon, can become undone at any moment. A smile came on his face. He made his way. Wow, I Sarabi. That's definitely more than 5. She panted, wiping the sweat away of lugging the catfish over to him. She was dripping in water as she swallowed. Have I? She took several more deep breaths. Have I got a deal for you, mister? She said. Oh really? Said Naruto. Yeah, she said. I'll throw in 3 more fishes for the half price. It's only because you brought good business for me, mister, that I'm doing this. I've never done this before, you know. At least she was lying about that as he came down and touched the fishes. She had hit them on the head with a rock underwater. He brought his hand towards her. You got a deal, kid. She took his hands with both of her own as she shook it. Thanks, mister, she said. No problem. As he brought her the money and handed it to her. You're free to stay. I'm thinking about grilling them. I, don't think that's a good idea, she said. With pepper, onions, and lemons. She said, unsure whether to trust a man that had paid her so much money for the fishes. I might have another paying job for you. He felt the shift in her chakra. Nothing perverted, I swear. Will she be staying, Azrael said, pointing at Orochimaru. Yes. Buzzing could be heard. As Blue took out his flip phone and answered Yujito's call, there was a quick conversation before he closed the phone. Scratch that. There will be a paying job. A Maki, Orochimaru's former associate, is the cause of Aizorabe's misfortune. He disappeared years ago, until Blue assigned Yujito to track him down. It took the Kumo Kunoichi all morning and afternoon to track him down, but she found where he was hiding. Blue told the little girl she agreed. Before he could finish saying everything, as they patiently waited, as Yujito came back as they spent time grilling the fishes and eating, Orochimaru kept her gaze to herself. Time skip at Konoha. A 12-year-old boy woke up as his alarm was blaring. As he turned, the alarm off. Despite it going off like that, he looked towards his two friends in their sleeping bag as they were still asleep. Shisui turned as he faced Itachi. He chuckled softly as he swung his legs off the couch. As Itachi ended up moving, failing to realize how tired he was, he fell right on Izumi, who pulled her kunai as she placed at his throat. She groaned when she realized where she was. She pushed him off. "Come on, Itachi, not again," she said. Laughter could be heard from Shisui as she picked up whatever was close to her and threw it after him. She then turned back over to the other side. As she looked towards Itachi, he was halfway out of his sleeping bag. Itachi didn't sleep that much. It worried her. It worried them, her and Shisui. Normally, he slept for 3 hours, and that was when his uncle was around to wear him down to bed. Itachi could barely function through the day, with only having 1 hour of sleep, spread out over a span of 6 hours. He said he couldn't sleep, just because. As he rubbed his eye, "Sorry, Zumi," he said. She smirked. "Morning, Scratchy." As Shisui got up and stretched, cracking his muscles, as he started to fluff the pillows on the couch, hoping that Kurenai and Yujiro did not notice a jeweled spot on the pillow that he turned over. "I told you to have the couch," he said. "But you listened to me." "No." "Good morning, shit soup," Itachi said. Shisui eyes snapped towards him. "I hate that name. Stop calling me that." Itachi laughed. "It's not funny." "That's enough, Scratchy," Izumi said. Itachi shrugged as he took Shisui's blanket and his sleeping bag, as he placed it in the other room. "Shisui, bear with him. You know how he gets when he doesn't have enough sleep. Just bear with him," Izumi said. He grumbled a bit. "Fine, I'm not mad," he said. "Cool," she yawned. "If you don't get up, we will be late for team assignments." Itachi opened all the windows as the light flew into the room. Izumi hissed. Both Shisui and Itachi grinned at that. She flipped onto her side, crawling away. "Get up," Itachi said. "No," she said. Itachi looked towards Shisui, who nodded as they squat down and started to poke her in the head. "Get up, get up, get up, get up." They repeated over and over. Her body snapped up as she grabbed the both of them. "Let me sleep." Itachi grabbed her left cheek and Shisui grabbed her right as they started to pull as she yanked their clothing. "Hey," Kurenai said, "come down to the kitchen." As she wore her normal clothes under a white apron. No roughhousing, as the three of them released each other. She walked back into the kitchen. "I'm making waffles." Shisui's ears perked up. "Waffles? Waffles?" Izumi rose up behind the two of them, before slamming her sleeping bag over Shisui's head. As she rushed to the bathroom, he chased after her, but she slammed the door right in his face. "Not cool, Izumi," he said, banging on the door. "Face me like a man." As she started to sing, "Hey, I said no roughhousing," said Kurenai from the kitchen, as Itachi had laughter in his eyes. "Shut up," Shisui said. "Izumi's in the bathroom, right?" said Kurenai as she came in. "Yes," Shisui said. "You can go in after her, Itachi. I hope you don't mind bathing last." "I don't mind," he said, as he brought out two shuriken and turned them over in his hand, as he examined them with his cold black eyes. "Yujiro had a sudden mission from the Hokage last night. She wanted me to tell you. She had applied to become Jonin Sensei, but she didn't know if she would get assigned to get interview 3. Kurenai did not apply, but she was going to do it somewhere down the line, where she thinks she was ready to give her knowledge onto young minds." "Oh, and Itachi?" "Yeah," he said. "Yujiro said that you should go to Training Ground 44, the Forest of Death, after her team assignment. She didn't like Jenny going anywhere near that place, but Yujiro told her that it was important, very important. Just you, Itachi," she said before. Shisui could spoke up. "It's a message from your uncle." Yes, Kurenai was of the small group in the village that did not believe her old flame was dead. It just didn't make any sense at all. Like the people that refused to think that the blue sniper was dead. She had fought beside him. It was during the course of those battles that they casually fooled around, even though she was already in a relationship with Asuma. Blue had broken it off when he found out she was dating someone else, as he didn't want to be the reason her relationship had broke apart. It was really some nice memories for her, ones that she hid from her boyfriend, but it still didn't make sense though. Orochimaru being Blue's mother did not matter. Blue wasn't her. The person that she knew was nothing like the infamous Snake Sonny. He was obliged to have his own secrets, so not telling anyone about his therapy sessions was his own business, and him not publicizing his inventions was his own business, and she didn't mind. She blamed herself for falling for minor words, causing the Blue Uchiha to group her with their friends that all distrusted him. Though she wasn't privy to the network communication between Uchiha that she had with him, her lips were sealed. I wasn't told why, but it's very important you come. Thanks, Auntie Kernai. Izumi returned fresh, as she was dressed in her shinobi uniform. As Shisui went inside the bathroom, she unsealed her bow staff as she activated her two-dim Sharingan as she glanced over it. As Itachi was already lost in his mind, so she didn't mind him. He sat back in his chair as he wondered what expecting the force of death. Time skip 3 hours later, Itachi sulked his way towards the force of death. He didn't get to be on the same team as his friends. Although he understand why 3 Uchihas could not get paired up, he didn't know why he has to be on a team with a civilian boy that didn't want to spare 2 words with him, and a Nara girl that was more concerned with tinkering her phone, a flip phone that she bragged had fast internet and her parents had credit a whole year for her to finish. Apparently, the girl was a prodigy of her bloodline, and the boy was a whiz with maps or something like that. Then there was his team sensei, his mother. Itachi didn't even want to know what kind of strings his mother pulled to get that position, or why she pulled those strings. Did she get assigned to team 2 so that she could keep her eyes on him, just in case his uncle was sending him some messages? Well, he didn't know and he didn't really care. Through their first meeting, Mikoto informed them that there were unseen powers that were hell-bent on destroying the leaf. And as genin, it was their duty to warn off danger from the village with all their might, even if the danger rose up within their family. She had gave him a hard look, as he knew it was directed towards him. As if she was trying to justify why she turned her back on her own brother, her blood relative, in favor of a village that constantly put their clan aside and see them with suspicion. Well, he didn't bite at all. Itachi had encountered Uncle Mitarashi at the entrance. She had gave him a swift bow, strangely enough, with a grin. Then she put her hands into her trench coat and simply smirked. Why is this the first time that we're meeting? Uncle Blue didn't want me anywhere near you, said Itachi. She shrugged. Why are you here? Uchiha left a message for me. She raised the eyebrow. Where? In there, Itachi said. I've been here all morning, and there's no message in there for you, she said. Itachi looked around. As he looked at her from the corner of his eye, he knew that look in her eye. She knew. But her duty trumped any other loyalty. Just like with Inoishi and Hisashi. In Uncle case, she had been trying to rebuild her trust after her defect with Orochimaru failed in a blaze of glory. She already rise up in her field. As she was in the IT department, she was a Takebisa Jonin, specialized in torture and information. She might have had a casual thing for Blue, but she didn't want to lose all the progress she had made. The cameras and sensors kept track of the two of them, but the cameras didn't have audio, and the way they were set, their lips couldn't be read. She breathed out from her mouth. I want to help. I really do. She paused, as she brought her hand to her ear, where the earbud was. Yes. I'll find them, she said. Infiltrators in the forest of death. The two of them saw a white mist creeping out from under the gate of the forest. Get back to the village, Itachi. It's not safe here, said Uncle, as she jumped on top of the gate and blurred out of existence. As Itachi stood there, the white mist rose up high, but it did not seep out of the gate that much. It was just there. Itachi looked around, expecting a few more shinobis to rush by into the forest. He guessed he had half a minute, so he sent Chakra down towards his legs. As he leaped, he felt a jolt as he landed on the other side. He looked back towards the fence as he saw the small crackling of lightning. It was to ward off the animals to stay inside and for people to stay outside. But it didn't affect Uncle, though. That was strange. The mist in front of him cleared a bit, giving him an obvious route to follow. And follow he did as he rushed into deep in the forest. He was led to a hut that seemed to have served as a sentry post in the first Hokage's era. Small wooden building, a door and 2 windows. Itachi turned and the wall of mist thickened as the path that he took was completely blocked off. Silence. The place was completely silent. As Itachi didn't realize, he didn't hear any animals, nothing. Not even trees rustling. Despite the other shinobi searching through the forest, Itachi heard absolutely nothing. The alarm was set off by the invader. Itachi looked up as he stepped back. Sitting on top of the building was a person wearing a Kiri headband that was slashed out, a sleeveless white vest with dark sandals and black pants. Their frizzy blonde hair was flaring about. It did not even fall over the mask. Dark blue eyes he could see, as she had 5 tatty marks on her upper left arm, tattoos on her. Her arms were across, as she looked like she was just calm without a care in the world. She was feminine. As Itachi noticed that, she crossed her legs with a needle on her thigh. New berry, Itachi thought to himself. The needle sword of the 7 ninja swordsman of the mist. Itachi didn't notice at first, but he see that she looked like she was sitting there all along. Her eyes roamed down towards her friend nephew. As she looked towards the bottom of the building, someone then marched out of the vacant door. A man that was 5'9", beady black eyes, a short nose that looked like a hawk, large ears, and a hard pointed chin. He would have looked like an extremely strict teacher or a ruthless banker, as he was wearing a perfectly clean black suit with black shoes. In his left hand was a fedora, and his right hand was behind him like a butler would to their master. He had a sheathed katana on his left hip. A bit under the katana was a smaller blade. Those were the 2 weapons of a samurai, and the fact that this person was able to bear a katana and a wakishi at the same time meant that they had a high regard. Probably a samurai master. Samurais believe in their code, and they were not allowed to bear 2 weapons until they reach a higher level in their training. He had a few silver streaks in his back hair, as he looked like he was in his early 60s. As Itachi got confused, a rank missing name, and a samurai in the same place. What the hell did he walk into? Meanwhile, the sword master clones serve as ghostly diversions, drawing the leaf shinobi away from the original position. Itachi looked around for a point to exit, but there was none. The mist filled the entire place. The woman wearing the mask simply scoffed. The samurai took a step forward, and Itachi's eyes snapped towards him. The man bowed slightly, showing that as a sign for Itachi to relax. He straightened up and placed his hat on his head as he fixed up properly. My name is Dan Nobunaki, he said. I was the honored accountant of Master Naruto Uchiha and the overseer of Master Naruto's vast wealth. He removed the hand from behind his back with a scroll in it. I was tasked by Master Naruto 5 years ago, before he went missing, to pass ownership of his wealth over to you. A week after you graduated from the academy, as he held up a single finger, on the condition that you found the treasure he left behind for you in his office. Itachi stammered. Pass ownership of his wealth? Was that even possible? His uncle was loaded. How do I know that you're not imposters? For all I know, you're not who you say you are. And the one thing you want in this world is what my uncle left for me. The girl on the roof cocked her head, not saying a word. I need proof, Itachi said. Even though Yujiro asked that he be there to receive a mention from Blue, he wouldn't blindly believe in anyone. Blue would probably approve of his caution. The samurai looked at him as he cracked a small smile. What proof do you need, child? You tell me, Itachi said. Alright. The treasure Master Naruto wished for you to retrieve from his office before it was raided by the Hokage was a map of his contacts and his connections. The Blue Network, if you will. Itachi stiffened a bit. That was a real deal, as his uncle did not throw that name around. As he told him he would give it to anyone cautiously, Itachi had called a stupid name back then. But that was proof enough. What about her? What's her deal? She's my guard. Master Naruto insists I spare no expenses to ensure my safety in and out of Konoha. I decided against bringing the army, and I was directed by the Fire Country complaint to employ her agreeable, dependable skills. As Itachi heard some muffled wail from the forest, that was a testament of her skill, as no one had found them yet. Dan raised an eyebrow. Is that enough for you? He asked. No, Itachi says. He looked at the woman. What's your name? He said. She looked at him. Blue called me Naga. Naga's relationship with Blue wasn't physical. It wasn't sexual. They were assigned on a joint mission to retrieve the head cleaver's sword from the former wheeler that defected from Kiri to Kumo. And he kept on nagging her about how her sword worked. Her new berry. It was just the 2 of them, like him. She was enlisted into the ninja force at a young age. He was cautious, but he also talked a lot. It would have been something to put behind her when the mission was over. She also thought about killing him once the mission was done, but he intrigued her. He had a weapon that could take down multiple opponents from several miles away. He called it crystalline. She wondered if her side mission was to collect his weapon in the name of Hidden Miss, or for him to take hers. the head cleaver and the needle sword. By the time the mission ended, he did no such thing. And he asked if they could keep in touch. He wanted to have many friends outside of Konoha. At some point, meeting up after years of back and front letters, she thought about showing him her face. Maybe she was infatuated. She couldn't tell. She knew that he had many friends he sent letters to. But she felt like the both of them had something special. She cleared her mind as she brought her mind back to the present. Blue called me Naga, Itachi. I like to think that we were close, she said. His disappearance affected many people and she was one of them, even though the accountant said that he was alive and well. She hoped he would contact her so they could talk. Blue was her friend after all. I'm only here to watch the old man's back. Dan came forward as he extended his hand. Your uncle's will. But, Itachi stepped back. But my uncle isn't dead, he said. The man smiled. He took Itachi's left hand and placed a scroll in his palm. He wanted me to give this to you. He wanted you to have all the necessary tools to take this world by storm. Itachi was confused. What? Inside this document, a statement of everything your uncle owned. Itachi didn't really understand because, as he said before, his uncle was loaded. The thought of a single scroll holding everything his uncle owned. Everything, he said. Everything, the old man said. Lands, money, large corporations, small business, every stake your uncle had in other hidden villages, real estate, properties. He trailed off, knowing that they won't get anywhere near soon. To finish, if he named all of them, all of Master Naruto assets, and all liability that he had, except for the blueprints of his inventions, he will it all to you. It's all in this, Itachi said, as he felt the weight of the scroll increase tenfold. Well, to his mind, he was smarter than his age, surely he was, but at the moment he was too young to know any better. The old samurai laughed. No, Master Itachi, he said. That is merely a statement of your uncle, statements and liabilities. The physical items are safely stored in his account in Iron Country, in Hidden Salt Water, Hidden Stone, and Hidden Tree, in Hidden Mountain, and the rest are closely managed nearby. As Itachi's mind tried to comprehend all of it, then all Master Naruto had, Master Itachi, it's no yours. He willed his life to you. I am at your service, he said above. If you are in need of money, resources, advice, questions, if you're concerned about anything, I will always be one phone call away. His right hand went to his back and came back, holding a flip phone. The network provider for the phone was based in the mountain region. As the man was going to serve Itachi well, after all, Blue was his only client, and it was enjoyable working for him, and he was going to do the same for his nephew. Itachi's mind was still trying to comprehend, trying to wrap itself around all of this. He had woken up that day without any high expectations, get his team and meet his team sensei, and also speak to his friends later. He never thought he'd become a multi-billionaire. The only thing he thought his uncle left for him was a map of his connections and his contacts. But now, he opened the scroll a bit with his shaking hand, looking at the top part. There was rows and documents of seals, all of them written in understandable language, easy, as all of them had the statements for what Blue owned. Though you will have access to the resources left to you, I was charged to limit you to your trust fund. As he pointed his finger at a certain part of the scroll, I assure you, the trust inside your trust fund will carry you until you're ready for the full access of the main account. Full access, Itachi said. Well, alongside training your ninja way, Master Naruto wished for you to be well versed in a good number of your investments. It was something he was unable to do, but trust that you'll find a way to accomplish. In simple words, Blue wanted his nephew to understand what was going on with his investments and better himself as a ninja as well. The boy could withdraw from his trust fund but was unable to take anything from the main account until he learned about the investments that his uncle left for him. The idea was to ease Itachi into everything instead of just dropping him right in the center. I need some time, Itachi said. The man nodded. Of course. Take as much time as you need. And he meant it. He would just continue to do what he has been doing for years until Itachi felt ready and called on him for help. My number is stored on the phone. The phone was keyed into Itachi's chakra. He was the only one that can use it. And the scroll. If anyone else tried to look over it, it would just look like mumbling. Well, that is if it didn't go up in flames soon after someone else took it. That it didn't belong to. Itachi hesitated. Can I at least know if my uncle is okay? He's okay, Master Itachi. Keep this quiet, please, said Dan. Naga turned her head as her ear twitched. The samurai placed a hand on Itachi's shoulder. You are exactly how your uncle described you. This, he looked toward the scroll, is nothing for you. I will only hope you don't push yourself so hard. I say this truthfully, there's no rush. Then why did Blue, Uncle Blue, he corrected his mind. Give me everything now. I'm just a kid. I'm just 12. Because he trusts you. What do you want me to do to alleviate the weight of the trust from your shoulder? Itachi's answer was immediate and predictable. I want to see my uncle. I want to talk to him. Or else, I don't want this. There is no use if I can't at least talk to him about it. Dan didn't seem to approve of this as he frowned a bit. This is your Uncle Will, Master. I got nothing else to say, Itachi said. Fortunately for you, Master Naruto saw this. Itachi smirked, glad that he hit the right spot. I know. He will contact you in a week, Master Itachi. Naka jumped down from the roof as she walked over to them. My clones have been dispersed. Time's up. Dan nodded. Expect Master Naruto to call from any moment from tomorrow. I can be patient, Itachi said. Time skip. Kakashi threw a bashful look at the unconscious form of Uchiha as he dropped down to his right knee, holding on to his broken ribs, wheezing for air. He definitely had a punctured lung. Tensou wasn't so lucky his back was slumped on the tree in the clearing that Jiraiya had been killed in, missing his leg from over his knee, his whole right arm as well, and Uchiha's sword was in his stomach. Kakashi did not know how Yamato was still alive. Jiraiya's body still lay on the ground, his head burning with that hellfire. Kakashi lost 5 dogs to their first attempt of restraining Uchiha. Trees were sliced all around. Tensou trees didn't work much for someone that was agile like Uchiha. It had taken Kakashi using his Mangeto to bring her down. Hatake, Alter Storm, a self-created Tsukiyomi, saying that he didn't have the real illusion of the Mangeto Sharingan. He had pleaded for her not to resist. He begged, but she put up a fight. Of course she would. Minato had gave both him and Yamato the order. Lure her away from the village, brought her towards the location where the Toad Son had been murdered in, and then used her as bait for the blue sniper. Kakashi didn't want to do this, killing Nobito for the Sharingan, and then later murdering Ren when she was too agitated to keep quiet about it, had greatly sobered the copy ninja up. He didn't want to hurt his friends. He didn't want to. As a tear slipped from his eye, he collapsed on his back. He didn't even know how he was going to get them to the rendezvous point. Naruto, he whispered. Look at all the trouble that you've caused, he said. Time skip. It was sunset at the land of sea. Blue pulled on his hunter ninja mask and hopped on a speedboat, sitting by the engine, as Yujito sat as well at the bow, and Orochimaru sat in the middle. She was wearing a black ski mask and dark clothing, different from the clothing that she usually wear. Orochimaru was in her normal attire, her face showing. Aizurabi ran into the water as there was a boom as she pushed off, as she went miles away, as she was followed by Blue and his companions. Yujito's attention was ahead as she looked towards the massive ship that they were going towards, her finger tapped on the hilt of her katana. As Orochimaru yelled over the loud speedboat, why not blow the ship up and resurrect the guy? The mask he wore, with the red eye paint. As he turned towards his mother, if something is too easy to do, then it's likely not worth it. It will save us time. What's the rush, she said. The point is to enjoy the ride and not speed towards the destination. She frowned as she was being reprimanded by her son for her impatience. Besides, I want to make sure Minato's life is in complete shambles before I send him to hell. Minato isn't just gonna sit on his ass, Naruto. I'm aware. What if Uchiha or Itachi get hit by the crossfire? And they will, Orochimaru said. There's a world of things I can do, Urkai. He taps at his head. And Uchiha has already been attacked. The soul inside Minato will read his memories. Orochimaru's eyes widened. Then, you don't want to help her? Trust me when I say this, Urkai. Uchiha hasn't needed help for years. There was a feeling of ease about him after he said that, as he turned off the engine as they neared the ship. Like with Kushina, when Obito came for the tail beast, Uchiha will be fine, as he did not say anything else about that. Naruto had made sure that Yujito had on a mask and different clothing. He didn't want to jeopardize her shinobi career by being seen with him and Orochimaru. Right on time, there was a big thump on the other side of the ship, strong enough to rock the ship. As Naruto cuffed his hand, she stepped into his palm as he threw her up. As she landed, flicking her wrist, a kunai came as she tossed it. It pierced right through the skull of the person that saw her enter. As she grabbed him and pulled his body into a close part of the ship and covered him with a tarp, she pulled her kunai out and cleaned it. As she waved towards the Sannin and the Master of Crows, the ship grumbled as Aizurabi slammed into it again. The sirens started to wail. The demon brothers leaped off the ship, landed on the water with their chakra, leaving only Zabuza on board, along with the cargo and the other civilian sailors and hired mercenaries. The mercenaries that toppled over the Gato Lavi's quarters covered the doors. as Zabuza could see everything from the highest point that he was. His eyes snapped to the place that Blue, Orochimaru, and Uchiha had infiltrated, but he saw no one there. The trio used a wavering darkness to break into the cargo. As Naruto flicked his hand to the right, Orochimaru backtracked and went after Zabuza, as Yujito followed him into the engine room. Their target wasn't a Kira missing ninja, or the corrupt owner of Gato's shipping company. This whole operation could have been easier. Yes, it could have. But this way was more entertaining than simply melting the ship and returning the man to life. Maybe on another day he'd operate more faster and more laid back. As he opened the hatch, as Yujito came out and Blue came out as well. "Over there!" a mercenary cried, as he had a massive hammer as he sighted the two trespassers coming out of the hatch of the engine room. He was about to face them again, but his head was split in half from Yujito's katana as Blue left her to a homicidal rampage. He found his target, tried to sneak out of the sick bay. Amaki, a young-looking man with pale grey hair, tied into a small ponytail at the back, as he struggled to recognize a masked man standing at the end of the hallway where Gato's room was at. A long-sleeved purple dress shirt and a white doctor's coat he was wearing. He was an accomplice for Orochimaru for a short while, until he almost succeeded to experiment on one of the children that Blue had saved, and Orochimaru had run him right out of the hidden chill. He used Orochimaru's name to try to have a hold in the criminal world, until she spread news that she was no longer associated with him. The protection he got from his friend, one of the most dangerous missing from Konoha, well, it evaporated. So 3 major villages and 6 minor countries want him for the crimes that he committed, and there was no way he could hide, as he was wanted. Orochimaru might be wanted, but she was still at S-rank Kunoichi. People were afraid to go after her. Amaki, on the other hand, wasn't so skilled, and he was fresh meat for the bounty hunters. He struck a deal with Gato, the best deal they could. He worked as Gato's scientist and the man who kept him protected. That alone wasn't enough to protect Amaki though. And it wasn't. He was a lab attendant from the time when he fled from Orochimaru, and now he was a scientist. Blue's body burst into crows as he started to caw around Amaki. As the man looked around and all the crows moved around him, a hand came out and grabbed his throat. The man shrugged as he was lifted off the ground. "Minato has been sponsoring you." "Who the hell are you?" Amaki said as he gritted his teeth in a rather uncomfortable situation being lifted up off the ground. He grabbed Blue's hand as his body started to change as he was shifting into a camera. What he did to Aizorabe, something that he was able to perfect. But another fist came and smashed, breaking his nose as his transformation receded. "My nose!" he screamed. Ominous shadows loomed over him. "I need you to tell me what Minato has been sponsoring you to do. Quickly now." A crow landed on Blue's shoulder as he emerged more. A three-toed him shrinking and looked deeply into Amaki's eyes. "Speak." At the same time, in Sieki, a pale-eyed crow hopped into the cell of a purple-haired woman. She jolted as she looked around in the luminous cell. The first thing she did was check if anything on her body was amiss. There were deep cuts over her body, her torso, and her shin. Her wounds weren't healed, but aside from the cuts and the soreness of her body, she was fine. The storage seals over her body, they were empty. Her hair was messed up from hands being run through it to check if there was any other sword seal on her. She didn't have her sword or shinobi sandals as her feet hit the cold ground as she marched towards the cell. The crow with milky eye looked at her as she regurgitated 2 pins from her gut as she started to pick the lock. Moments later, bare feet patted on the ground dungeon floor. As, above her, people that she once considered her closest comrades as she passed empty cells. She was offended that her captors hadn't even used seals to fortify the lock. They really thought something like that would keep her in place. She kept her stance low as she maintained her stride, as her body still hurt though. As she came to a stop at the long stairs going down, her chakra was still all over the place after Kakashi genjutsu on her, so that took out the options of breaking through the window and leaping through the facility. She didn't have a katana, she had no weapons at all. The pale-eyed crow watched her as she tied her hair up as she made her way down the stairs. Meanwhile, moments after Uchiha was kidnapped, inside that Minato mindscape, "You hit me where it hurt, Minato," said Blue, his arms crossed. The chains attached to him shook violently. Of all the people, Minato smirked. "That vision, that thing you pull at Ichiraku Ramen, I am willing to forget what you're gonna go on again about my weapons and schematics and Naruto. I'm really getting tired of hearing this." The sealing paper on his cage started to fizzle a bit. Minato drew 10 more seals to keep weight down Let me tell you what will happen once Kakashi and Tento ambush Yujiro. Tento will be put in a state that he will linger between life and death for a long period of time. He will have his soul anchored to his body though by his Keiki Genkai. And Kakashi, Yujiro will put him in critical condition, forced him to seek the closest medic. She's captured, dumbass, said Minato. Blue snarled. But I'm right. Minato's jaw clenched as he drew more steals. You wanted a reaction from me? Blue says he opened his unseen white eyes to swing in and safer, then you flashed in and tried to kill me. You know, it's hard fighting someone that can literally read your thoughts. Minato chuckled. You see what I want you to see, Naruto. We students of Jiraiya are a lot closer than you think. I've got friends outside of Konoha like you won't even believe. As he faded away from the mindscape, as he was now in his chair, he smiled to himself. The dying god, and also his origami angel. But guys, to be in episode right here, if you want next person to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification as they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends, your social media platform. And also guys, stay tuned for the rest of what is coming your way, which I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. But I'm off for now, see you guys soon. Peace.